Welcome to another episode of the series of the PLM Green Alliance, talking with PLM-related vendors about their sustainability efforts. Together with my PGA partner, Klaus Brettschneider, we're talking today for the second time with Vincent CEO and founder of Sustaira. When we spoke with Vincent about 3 years ago, he was really in the startup phase, getting companies interested in his concepts based on the Mendix software platform, and helping them to track, manage, and report their sustainability data and initiatives. Also, you might know Vincent from his monthly contribution in the LinkedIn PGA community with his Sustainability and ESG Insights newsletter. Therefore, we are happy to reconnect and to learn who is behind Sustaira and what is happening there. So first of all, Vincent, we are pleased to have you in our series again, and it's already a challenge to find a common time slot. Welcome. And before diving into the details, please introduce yourself. What is your passion, and what are you doing what did you start Sustaira for?
Yeah, well, thank you, Jos and Klaus, for having me again. It's great to be here several years later with many more milestones. Vincent Delamar, founder, CEO of Sustaira. We call her the Queen of Sustainability, strong feminine name. Although some of the leading analyst firms and even our customers, they refer to sustainability AI era in the name Sustaira, of course. So yeah, my passion is really in the low code applications and modular applications, and very quickly, very agile, contributing with innovative technologies via apps. And with Sustaira, we do that solely, 100% focus in the sustainability domain to enable sustainability leaders to make a real difference with innovative software.
Okay, can you describe Sustaira in 1 or 2 lines? Why should companies need it?
Yeah, for sure. Well, in the end, Sustaira is a modular AI-driven sustainability platform. We have roughly 150 sustainability accelerators. So those are complete SaaS products, so carbon accounting, goals, KPI tracking, disclosures, as well as templated applications. They call it adaptable SaaS, where you can fully configure, adjust the data model, the logic, and the UI. So the larger companies, Fortune 2000, they want the core building block and then fully customize that towards their needs. And deploy it anywhere, whether it's Azure, AWS, Microsoft. We do it all. And we have a marketplace as well, so it's easier for people to search and look through the portfolio and pick and choose where they see a need and where they see a fit, depending on their sustainability maturity level.
Okay, that was a long one-liner. If you look at Sustaira, is it value prop? Is it invasive for an existing environment, or is it complementary? How would you describe it?
Yeah, so it's both. So we have customers where we're really the end-to-end sustainability platform. So really from the materiality assessment all the way to the disclosures internally or with the frameworks. But we also have actually larger enterprise customers where we sit on top of existing systems. Mm-hmm. So we sit on top of the SAP, we sit on top of the Microsoft of the worlds. Even on top of out-of-the-box carbon accounting solutions like a Sweep or a Workiva, to really fill the gap, to be more complementary in their existing IT sustainability landscape. I'll give you an example. If you're very good at carbon accounting, it doesn't mean you're very good at decarbonization or scenario analysis type of apps that are a little bit more agile, a little bit more flexible in terms of what they need to do. Same on the supplier side. Once you start to interact with suppliers or your customers, you need something a little bit more innovative, a little bit more agile from a technology stack perspective. So in that case, we sit on top of existing solutions.
And how much do you depend on a PLM infrastructure? Because we are the PLM Green Alliance.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, as you might recall from our last meeting, we really leverage Mendix, so Siemens low-code platform, for a lot of these applications. Hence, Siemens is a large partner of ours, both on the implementation as well as on the distribution side. Not only from a distribution perspective, but also from a co-creation perspective. I'm actually part of their Siemens Accelerator Advisory Board under the CTO, Peter Korte, which really enables and allows partners like ours to really come close to the core of Siemens, to add a lot of value for their customers. And their customers, to your point, Jos, they often are manufacturers. They're active in the digital industry space. So PLM, I'd say probably half of our customers, they have a PLM in place, whether that's a Siemens Teamcenter, a PTC, or the other PLM solutions, but we often then sit on top of that.
Okay. And I remember 3 years ago when we discussed concept, the value prop was clear and people were interested. But now we are 3 years later, and I'm sure you have experience with customers. Can you share some customer cases and what were the challenges and what were the benefits?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say we have, in the platform, we've got hundreds of tenants, which are in essence organizations that are leveraging the technology. We've got dozens of larger paying customers. And we see 3 buckets of customers. So the first bucket is what I just mentioned, really an end-to-end sustainability platform. And they add modules as they see a fit. So it starts with materiality assessments, goal and KPI tracking in an online environment, carbon accounting, so fully greenhouse gas based, and then ultimately also some reporting, whether it's GRI, CDP, and the future around CSRD and the SEC over in the US, of course. Great example there is Ports of Jersey. So Ports of Jersey, Jersey and Ireland, right between France and the UK, very unique organization. They have an airport, a large logistics arm as well with their harbors, of course, their marines, a lot of systems of record. So to do their carbon accounting and goals and KPI tracking, a standard out-of-the-box solution is not going to fit. So we take our platform, we take our modules, and then we modify it, adjust it to their use case, not only from the UI, user interface perspective, but also from the data perspective. The second use case we see is really focused on filling the gaps. So companies already do carbon accounting, or they're focused on 1 or 2 areas. Decarbonization scenario analysis is a big one around SBTI, science-based target initiatives. We've got 2 very cool modules and apps there, and that can sit on top of any other carbon accounting solution. It doesn't have to be Sustaira. Can sit on top of an SAP, or can sit on top of a Sweep, or any of the other carbon accounting solutions. The third one, the third bucket, is really co-creating new applications. So 2 examples there, Siemens Financial Services, we do all their financed emissions. So all their PCAF calculations across their investment portfolio, and to actually make these unique calculations more insightful, and also ultimately make them more predictive where they're heading towards with sales data. Another example there is in the construction industry, where we have built a couple of applications together with our customers, like Cellen Construction and Holder Construction, insightful apps around sustainability within the construction industry. So think about waste, think about water, greenhouse gas protocol-based carbon accounting, but then specifically for construction sites.
We started the discussion already with the word AI early in the interview. What do you consider AI? Is it the hype that we see at the moment with large language models bringing knowledge together, or is it more algorithms and structuring information? How does Sustaira use what you call AI? What is your definition of using it?
Yeah, so for us, it's interesting, because if you look at our developers, a lot of the AI agents, they consider them workflows, right? So there's a real difference between AI agents and workflows. But for us, it's really I'd say, tool set to, again, enable our sustainability leaders, our target audience. And with enabling, we mean making it as easy as possible, as fast as possible, for them to do the things they need to do. I'll give you a very concrete example. One of the companies that we're engaged with is Cotopaxi, right? They make these beautiful backpacks and all recycled plastic materials. They fill out hundreds of spreadsheets to actually share with their distribution chain, which are often the retailers of the world, right? That sell their products. But every retailer wants to get specific sustainability data in their own Excel spreadsheet, in their own format. So that's where AI becomes very handy, because in essence, you create an AI layer that pulls the data in an easier way and pre-fills it according to specific formats. So the manual work is taken out of it with an AI engine, in this case on the disclosure formatting. And you can apply this use case also in the investment industry around financed emissions, or in the insurance industry across their portfolio, or in manufacturing along the lines of their distribution chain. So a concrete example.
I mean, we're jumping around about these the topics in sustainability, and I think sustainability is such a wide field. It's sometimes wild. It's such a wide field. And I mean, from the PLM perspective, it's more product driven. There's the topic of climate, there's the ESG reporting, there's so many aspects in sustainability. And I think 3 years ago, we had a discussion, would it not be better to focus on something specific? And back then you said, no, that's not our approach. We want to cover everything. Are you still sticking to this, covering as much as possible, or did it come up over the last 3 years, a focus where you are going for?
Yeah, love the question, Klaus. And focus is really, it means deciding on what not to do. So quite frankly, we are doing an awful lot. I can argue that we have the largest portfolio of sustainability apps, connectors, modules. We call them sustainability accelerators, to enable sustainability leaders. We're really happy that we did that we didn't start with something very small and focused. I'll give you an example. There were many startups focused on CSRD, right? The legislation over in Europe.
Yeah.
A big driver. Many companies got millions of investment rounds purely to tackle that single disclosure standard. Well, legislation changed, politics changed a lot, and those companies are just simply washed away. Their whole business model is thrown out the window. So if you're a CSRD solution and you focus on SMEs, you're out. Your value proposition is gone, and they need to pillar. And it's very hard to do, right? Especially if you build a monolithic type of application. So our whole philosophy around, let's start with the corner pieces of the puzzle. Let's build a portfolio that continuously to grow with these connectors to unlock existing systems, and then add application templates on top of it. Yeah, that is really that allows us to grow very quickly in a variety of areas. Still, of course, carbon accounting, goals, KPI tracking, disclosures, there are the rock in our portfolio. But things like supply chain transparency around questionnaires, things like scenario analysis, decarbonization, right? SBTI related applications, they become more and more important. So what it did allow us to do, though, is by having such a broad portfolio, you directly can tell which are your killer applications. So instead of us defining, this is that one application that's going to do it based upon certain assumptions, it's actually the market, the customers, that dictate where we're going. We give them a link to our marketplace. They fill out a questionnaire based upon which apps they already use, what their technology landscape looks like, what their sustainability maturity level looks like, because 99% of the companies out there, they don't have anything, right? The 1%, they do something with software, but 99% of the companies, they don't do anything. So it's a very untapped market. And that becomes easier and easier for us because the portfolio is significantly larger than when we spoke 2 years ago.
Coming back to the apps, if you look at your portfolio of apps, how much of those apps are really involved in the early design stages of the product when you have to make decisions on what kind of product are we going to make? What would be the impact?
Yeah, so I'd say out of the 150 accelerators, I'd say probably 80-90% is Sustaira's IP. So we have developed it. It's really our own portfolio. Out of that 80-90%, I'd say 15-20% is really Digital Industries manufacturing related. A lot has to do on the corporate sustainability side, where what you refer to sits more on the product sustainability side. And that's really where we also partner. So Siemens, great large powerhouse, a lot of experience, of course, in that space. So that's where we partner. They've got, to give you an example, they got a great blockchain-driven product carbon footprint initiative called Green. So instead of us building a new LCA product carbon footprint app, we actually collaborate with them and we take care of the corporate element of it and they take care of the product carbon footprint.
Okay.
So the answer would there be, we do have, I'd say 10-15% of our own portfolio focused on manufacturing, but we do have a very strong partnership strategy there as well.
And then the other question on AI, we know that AI can sometimes hallucinating. How much in the reporting business is hallucinating allowed? Because I assume it's also not an accurate business at the moment.
Well, so our philosophy is that if it can get us 70-80% there, that's a huge win, right? So in terms of the reporting, there is an awful lot of manual work sustainability leaders need to do, whether you're a sustainability leader, to your point, in the PLM space, and to adhere to plastic legislation, for instance, right? All the way to corporate sustainability on the corporate disclosures level. There's a lot of copy and pasting in Excel spreadsheets and uploading an Excel sheet, automatically populating the actual reports and then spitting it back out in any type of format, whether it's XPLR, whether it's an API, whether it's a PDF or an Excel. Yeah, that's really where AI can be powerful. The part that triggers me is there's a lot of solutions out there, but enterprise-ready solutions, that's still very important, right? Yes, my 10-year-old plays around with Lovable to very quickly spin up his own Fortnite applications, right? But that's something completely different than a governance or a sustainability reporting app that needs to have a complete audit trail, that needs to have all the security deployed on their own private cloud of a customer, right? So there's a difference between the type of applications and where you would use what tool. But without a doubt, AI should be in your technology stack, especially for those large organizations. Is it the holy grail for everything? No. Will we get there? I believe so, and it goes quicker than we all think.
Exactly. The whole discussion is about AI and accuracy, data quality and accuracy and governance.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's always the question what technology in AI you really use, right? I mean, technically, if you assign emission factors to specific materials and you figure out, you search basically in a database, technically this is AI as well. But this is quite accurate. While if you create an entire report with generative AI, it's a totally different discussion, I think. So I think the AI technology in most software modules is already embedded from a specific technology perspective. But of course, if it comes to generative AI, then you even have to have the data from the corporations to do anything and to feed a model, even to get something decent out of it. And in most situations, companies do not have the data ready to feed these AI models, even to use it afterwards. So
exactly. And on that data side, something we're actually not marketing, we're not doing a great job on the marketing side. There's a lot of wins there, but one of the secret sauces of Sustaira is that we're fully cloud native. So you can pick and choose any app, including the whole platform, and deploy that in your private cloud, whether that's Oracle, whether that's Azure, whether that's AWS. That doesn't have to be Sustaira. And especially if we're talking about sustainability data, right? Environmental, social, HR data too, and governance data. Yeah, you don't want that in any other cloud besides your private cloud. So if you play around with AI, make sure it's secure and that those apps sit in your own environment. A cool initiative there that we're working with is one of our global alliances, Capgemini. They've got a very powerful sustainability data hub. It's called SDH. And that does exactly that, right? So they take care of all the orchestration, the integrations, as well as the cleansing. So you have almost a digital twin of your sustainability data. And then our apps, including some co-created apps, they sit on top of that sustainability data hub to actually make it meaningful and drive business decisions based upon it. A great example. But again, that's for the Fortune 2000 companies, that they don't compromise data security or where we deploy it. You need to adjust your technology to their stack, which is what we can do.
And then if we move to a little bit to the business, I also see a global trend that we are using less the words ESG and green. They seem to like forbidden words somehow. And as we discussed in the PLM Alliance, that we probably also have to shift our wording, because under the radar, a lot of things are happening in companies, but they call it now risk avoidance, etc. How do you see this with Sustaira? Are you going to change the name of your newsletter, for example, or are you adapting you also to the modern flow of communication?
Yeah, I love the question. And look, in principle, what we do, it doesn't change anything, right? So there's still nimble, modular, AI-driven applications. The way how we package it and the way how we present itself, of course, we adjust that. I believe in you got to adjust for what the company is looking for, your customer, right? Sustainability, and that's what a lot of people forget. We're just getting started, right? In principle, we're talking about visualizing externalities, right? The negative impact of organizations on the environment, on the social side, and on the governance side, right? Whether we call it sustainability, whether we call it ESG, whether we call it, minimizing externalities, it's the same. And externalities is associated with risk. Now, when we're talking about risk, you have a CFO level type of conversation, which is ultimately where you want to sit, right? You want to sit at that CFO, CEO level with the initiatives that a sustainability leader is tackling. Now, companies that have a sustainability leader on the marketing side, that's where these conversations become more relevant, right? Because
exactly. Yeah.
Is it about sustainability? Is it about ESG, or is it just simply about selling more? So it depends on the company, it depends on the market. But for us, it's all the same, and the mission is very clear around sustainability leaders.
Yeah, no, we agree. I think that the word sustainable is now more and more we have to focus on sustainable business, and that has a lot of externalities to deal with, but not necessarily only the sustainability activities. I mean,
yeah. And one more comment there. It's a good thing that ESG is and was discussed a lot, and that we're talking about it, because the more we talk about it, the more concrete it becomes. And what kind of sticker we put on it, not important, right? The most important thing is that we're moving in the right direction. And there are some great companies out there like Philips, they already have a complete internal balance sheet with externalities, and not only around an internal carbon footprint, but also towards the social impact. If somebody is ill, for instance, what's the impact not only for the company, but also for that household, and then also for the society, right? But it's very early stage. They're all early adopters. So it's good that we talk about it.
The discussion about ESG and the wording. So my experience on the sustainability side is that basically the companies with the worst products were the first one to getting on this kind of discussion. So sometimes I sit in this meeting and think, okay, is this really the product I want to have in the world? But at the end, these companies have to improve their sustainability as well. And the investors want to know about these impacts. So the entire ESG discussion, there maybe was a bubble and the burst, but I'm sure this topic to know what you invest in and to know what your company is doing and what effect your company has will not go away. So
No, exactly.
yeah.
It will only grow. And a matter of fact, we're very close at the core. So several of our customers in the financial space, they actually asked us to really provide transparency of their portfolio companies in terms of not only environmental data, but really also social and governance, right? So think about quantitative as well as qualitative data aggregation, where a private equity firm or a VC invests in. And the main driver there is actually that there's a multiplier if your portfolio company is more sustainable than a competitor. Right. So at some point in time, the company will be sold and there will be a multiplier there. That's having the right conversation, because then we're starting to tie sustainability KPIs to where people still run after, which is monetary value.
And actually, this is still the topic in the PLM world, also moving from documents to data-driven to create visibility. It goes very slow. Sustainability initiatives are kind of leading the new ways of working sometimes. I mean, that's the interesting part, because, you have to be data-driven in order to be sustainable in those points. This reminds me of, you mentioned in the beginning, the close cooperation with Siemens, and you have a webinar next week also together with Siemens. How tight is this relation with Siemens? Do you see yourself future as a Siemens company, or do you focus on remaining independent on the long term?
Well, first of all, I've had 2 acquisitions by Siemens. They were both within 3 years. I am now part of their advisory board of Siemens Xcelerator, and Siemens Xcelerator is really a platform where such a large company, such a powerhouse, opens themselves up to collaborate with its ecosystem. And those are not the Accentures and the McKinseys of the world but also startups, now a scale-up like Sustaira, and also mid-sized companies. I am positively somewhat surprised a couple of years ago how innovative and how fast-moving they are. And it's because of these initiatives that go all the way up to the board level and executive management. And it's risky to open yourself up like that, right? So in a certain way, you can consider Sustaira almost like an excavator, because we're not part of Siemens. We're fully independent. There's no external capital, no VCs or no loans or anything along those lines, which allows us to move very quick. But at the same time, we can tap into the resources of Siemens. So that goes around the distribution chain, that goes around the delivery, even from a contracting perspective. The large companies purchase us via Siemens, which is great. So you never know what the future brings. I've always been very impressed with Siemens, because it's not just talk, it's a lot of running and walking. And we do that hand in hand. And we're also having a very clear roadmap that is fully transparent. So Siemens product folks, they know what they focus on, number 2, 3, 4, and then we focus on number 5, 6, 7, and jointly that adds real value for the end customer, because they have a larger portfolio within the same amount of time, which is how partnerships should work.
Exactly. And I think it's also a good example of how traditional companies try to innovate by working with startups and learning from them how they could connect and add value to their own portfolio, instead of going all the way yourself, which is probably going to fail if you do it alone.
No, it's definitely, and I think everybody, to tie it then back to AI, I think everybody experiences and feels what's happening, right? It goes incredible fast. And if you want to go fast, but you also want to make sure you go into the right direction, don't go alone, right? Be out there, be vulnerable. And that's exactly what they're doing. And that brings up a ton of opportunities, in this case, in the sustainability domain with Sustaira, but in the other domains, PLM specific focus, for instance, or MES specific focus, there are many other examples that I can bring forward.
And I'm always a little bit picky on words, and maybe also nice closure of this session. You said moving in the right direction. What do you see as the right direction?
Yeah, well, it's simple, right? For us, we always said we want to have as much impact as possible, and impact is translated into sustainability apps that are live every single day, used by as many business customers as possible. So we will continue to innovate with AI-driven and modular-driven applications. That portfolio will probably double, if not triple again, in the next 12 to 18 months. And with that also comes, of course, a larger footprint on the customer side. So last year, we had triple-digit growth. This year, we're going to do that again, still completely bootstrapped, which is very unique. It's not something you could do, I'd say 3, 4, 5 years ago, but we're doing it. So very clean organization, where there is 100% focused on the sustainability leader. It's actually quite simple for us because we have one persona we focus on. And then thirdly, co-creation. So the being open, co-creating new applications, not only with our customers, but also partners like Capgemini. That is key. We're not doing this alone. We're doing this with a complete ecosystem with roughly 30, 40 partners right now. So that's it for us.
Yeah. And I hear all the words that I try to say to companies also. Partnerships are so important. Don't do it alone, etc. The digital transformation. So yeah, and it's encouraging to hear that you have this growth year by year, which is showing that it hits the market because you don't grow without customers.
And there's also your focus, right? If you focus on the sustainability officers, maybe this is the focus I was missing on the portfolio side.
Yeah.
But if they don't have any budget to spend, then you can talk to them, but nothing is happening.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is that we're getting at a phase where we can literally give applications away. And that is very powerful, right? So if you want to have an impact, there shouldn't always be a direct monetary value associated with it, because impact goes much, much further than that. But quite frankly, there are organizations that simply don't have the funds. Look at the higher ed space at this case, right? We work with California State University, very large. But if you look at budget cuts, if you look at the impact, so having that broad portfolio allows us to also say, you know what, go use the app. We've invested in it. It is live. Sign up and use it. And the monetary value will come. That's very powerful. And it makes us also feel very good from our own sustainability and Sustaira team, of course, that we can say that.
Yeah, that's a nice approach. I was thinking when I hear giving away apps or for free, then I was thinking, is this the Facebook model where do the ads pop up? And but you don't work with advertisements during the reporting.
Yeah, no. I look, if you it ties back to one of the first questions. But if you only have a carbon accounting solution, you only have one way how you can build a sustainable business, and that's making money off your carbon accounting solution. We've got 150 accelerators. We don't, per definition, need to make any money over our carbon accounting solution, right? So it's a very interesting domain, sustainability, where we're just getting started. And for us, the key is a sustainable business. We're profitable, beautiful customers, bootstrapped, and we're not in it for the short term. We're really in it for the long term. So sometimes we have to hold ourselves, and that's probably the biggest challenge we have internally.
Yeah, I think sustainability is a long-term game. I mean,
exactly.
For sure. Yeah. So with that, Klaus, do you have a final question?
No, it's a marathon. I agree. No final question from me.
Okay. Then first of all, Vincent, thank you very much for this update, and a very encouraging update. I think we learned so much more in the past 2-3 years. Thanks for being with us, and see you soon again.
Yeah, thank you, Klaus. Thank you, Jos. I appreciate it. And thank you for sharing the newsletter. I haven't shared it, but there's now over 55,000 sustainability leaders that are following that sustainability ladder. So, share the news.
Yeah, it's a good newsletter. I think I like it because you address many of the topics and in a positive mood, not in let's say
We try to,
depressive making.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching this episode. You can find more information following these links or look for our blog post, PLM and Sustainability. Continue talking with Sustaira.